Hey everybody, welcome to a playoff edition of Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I am John Clark. He is Ike Reese. He is Mike Quick.
Playoffs?
They know all about the Eagles-Giants rivalry. That's right. Now, Ike Reese, what are you most looking forward to in this matchup?
Well, I'll tell you what, facing your division rival for a third time, you're going to get a tough, competitive game. That's just what you're going to get. I expect this game to be tightly contested. Scoring will be at a premium. And I want to see this Eagles defense going up against this Giants offense. This Giants offense is much better than it was that we seen them a few weeks ago. Forget about the last game of the season when they didn't play anybody. When you saw them up in New York, Daniel Jones is playing a lot better right now, and so is Saquon Barkley. I'm excited about the challenge it poses to our defense because I believe our defense is up to the challenge.
You are so right. Daniel Jones is a much different quarterback right now. Yeah. You can see the growth in Daniel Jones. You can see his comfortability with this offense. And the Eagles, I'm looking forward to seeing the full breadth of their offense. We didn't see that in Week 18. It was very vanilla. But these two teams, and like you said, I think this is going to be a tough contested game that'll go down to the fourth quarter, but different football teams. And boy, with Jalen Hurts now in, with the full breadth of this offense, I'm looking forward to seeing playoff football.
And something that Daniel Jones is going to see, the Eagles defense had 17 interceptions. 14 of them came in zone coverage. So let's get a little breakdown of some of these zone coverages with the Eagles DBs coach, Denard Wilson. Here's Tape Study, presented by Chickies and Pete's with our own Fran Duffy.
Well, joining us here this week for Tape Study, presented by Chickies and Pete's, Eagles defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator, Denard Wilson. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We want to take a look at a handful of interceptions over the course of the season, all of them coming within cover 4. This one here by James Bradberry a few weeks ago against the Houston Texans. First, I guess, take us through what the basics are of cover 4 or quarters coverage.
Okay, when you look at the film here, or you just talking about quarters coverage, everybody on the back end is responsible for a quarter of the field. So right here, James Bradberry, he's responsible for this quarter of the field. Chauncey is responsible from the middle of the field to the numbers. And here we have Marcus Epps. He's responsible from the hash to the numbers. And Slay has everything outside of the numbers. So we're basically playing a 4 deep, 3 under defense, okay? The underneath defenders, all right, they're called quarter flat defenders here, okay? So they're responsible for anything inside or to the flat. He's responsible for anything inside and to the flat. And the Mike linebacker always opens to number 3, okay? So he opens to number 3. So when you play this play here, you see a couple things happening. The Mike linebacker has to open to 3. The running back becomes number 3. So if he's pushing to number 3, that means that there's a void back here on the backside of the coverage. So as a quarter flat defender, if you rewind it, a quarter flat defender always has to know where number 3 is. If 3's away from you, I have to tuck inside because the mic can be flooded out there and he can protect the inside out. All right, so now as you play it, okay, you look at James at the top. He knows that if 3's to him, he potentially has help underneath. All right, and depending what route concepts develop outside, he might have help from a free safety here. All right, so as the play develops, James sits over top because he's protecting himself with goals and posts. Chauncey's reading number 2. If 2 goes vertical, Chauncey has to make a play on number 2. However, with this receiver here running the underneath shallow route, well, the Kayvon back here now can cross key. So he can begin to push. So now it becomes basically a 3/2 on this side of the field. So right now, as Kayvon push, Chauncey can come off. Kayvon has that over, and now James can sit outside, and the play comes right to him.
So let's take a look at this next one here. This one against Washington, prime time, Monday Night Football. A pick here from C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Okay, Washington, they're running a full vertical concept. So basically, all the receivers are pushing into DB's quarters. All right, so now Chauncey here, we tell him to zone the quarter. Okay, he's reading number 2, and as number 2 goes vertical, he has enough depth and body position to take away any seam ball in number 2. But within that, zoning a quarter means that as I push in my quarter, I'm also reading the quarterback. So as he starts to push in his quarter, he's protecting his quarter, he's reading the quarterback. And when the quarterback sets, back foot sets, his shoulder tilt right now is pointing to number 1. All right. And as a DB or a defender, we're reading shoulder point. So if the shoulder point is at a certain angle, I tell the DBs here, once that hand comes off the ball, now they can go attack the ball. So when you see his back foot set, his hand comes off the ball, Chauncey aborts his quarters, and now he goes and be a playmaker, and he goes and high point this thing. The best part about this play that he did is on the finish. All right, the ball's in the air, and you see him violently go up and get it. He doesn't wait for it. He leaves nothing up for grabs, and now he secures the catch, and it's a big play. And we know he made a lot of big plays this season.
So the big thing about quarters as well, all the different rules can change a little bit by formation, right? So we've seen a couple 2x2 sets here, a 3x1 set, 3 receivers to one side, and that changes things in the back end.
Okay, now in quarters, if you get a 3x1 set, the backside safety now, he becomes a push defender. When I say a push defender, he's basically reading number 3. If 3 pushes vertical, he's going to catch any vertical at number 3. All right, if 3 eliminates itself, he goes back to zone the quarter, because if they run any type post concept, he's going to be the guy that overlaps. All right, on the front side, we talked about it earlier. Slay has this quarter here. All right, Marcus is reading number 2. All right, if 1 and 2 push vertical, they have to stay there, and Chauncey obviously has to catch 3 over. And right here you see it's a perfect play. They get in the bunch set. We zone it off with Avante. He pushes to the flat, so he has to take the first to the flat. Slay begins to squeeze on number 1. Marcus splits 1 and 2 by body position because he knows he has help. If he gets any 7 cut, Marcus can drive it because Chauncey has his back. He's covering him. So right now, 3 eliminates itself. 1 pushes vertical, so now Marcus is protecting Slay, and now Chauncey is coming to work and take over number 3. And then when you see this play here, man, you have to give credit to this rush that we have. You see them avalanche the pocket, create this quarterback have hesitation as he steps up in the pocket, and it allows us to go play downhill and finish on the ball.
And that's the thing, is over the course of the last few weeks here on the show, we've talked about how the coverage has helped the rush and getting home for a team record 70 sacks. Here you see the rush helping the coverage. That symbiotic relationship shows up in this defense every week.
It goes hand in hand. Rush and coverage, coverage and rush. Allows us to make plays.
Let's take a look at one last one here. This one, week 17 against the New Orleans Saints. An interception here from Josiah Scott in the slot.
Okay, once again, it's a 3x1 formation, but however, this guy's sitting in what we call a gravedigger stand. So he's sitting there. We know he's not going to go vertical. So the backside safety knows he doesn't have to push as fast. All right, so he can zone his quarter to help the corner on the backside here. All right, the same rules still apply for these guys over here. All right, now as a quarter flat defender, all right, 3s to him, but we want to get a reroute on number 2. So he's positioning himself to force number 2 over the top. All right, as number 2 pushes, we do a good job of punching and widening, taking him off his track, all right, to deliver him to the safety. Now, the rule is this: if 1 and 2 pushes vertical and there's no fast 3 to the flat, the nickel or the quarter flat defenders should pop and pivot, meaning sink and get depth. And as he sinks and get depth, he flips and he finds the 7 cut, and obviously he makes a hell of a play, high pointing in and go get it in a 2-minute situation.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery, there's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.
It has been a dominating performance from beginning to at least at this point. Sanders stays in. He breaks away at the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Miles Sanders, touchdown!
Wow.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
how about that?
This offensive line, they're so good. They block so well. And when Miles Sanders gets to the outside, it's just a foot race. And he outruns the entire Giants defense to the pylon and into the end zone.
He does.
Big day for Miles Sanders.
All right, yeah, Miles Sanders in that first game against the Giants, he rushed for 144 yards, a career high. How about 8.5 yards per carry? And you can run on the Giants.
Yeah.
They're giving up 5.2 yards a carry this year, second worst to the Chargers. So when you see the Giants giving up that many rushing yards, what do you want to see in this game, especially from Miles Sanders?
More. I want to see more. So Miles Sanders' performance was capped off by this touchdown run. Let me show you this. So Miles on this gap scheme run, it's a G lead. The guard pulls from the backside. He leads up through, but then you got the tight end as well. And Miles really presses the hole. And if you watch that outside defender, Miles gets him to peek to the inside just a little bit, just enough to get that block on him, and then the burst of Miles down the sideline, and he goes in for a touchdown. But it wasn't just that. Miles had his most complete game. I thought he was even better in protecting the quarterback on the blitz pickup, but then there was one where Miles was the lead blocker, which was probably his best play in the football game. He was outstanding, and the Eagles are going to need a lot more of that in this game. They cannot be one-dimensional. The problem with Minnesota versus the Giants, Minnesota became one-dimensional. If the Eagles run the football effectively, that passing game is going to work well right off of the run.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Giants defense, they've changed up a lot since that loss to the Eagles.
Yes.
How much are they blitzing? Are they playing zone or man? That is something Greg Cosell is going to dive into. Here's Enemy Intel presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
This Giants defense is looking a lot different over the last month than they did in that Week 14 game. Wink Martindale has made some real conceptual changes in how he wants to play. If we go back to what the Giants were leading up to Week 14, here was their profile. It was man-to-man coverage. It was high percentage blitz. That was the Wink Martindale template. It's not been like that essentially since that game against the Eagles. But I want to show you a play from last week that is very, very representative of where the Giants stand now defensively. This is a third down play. And look at the defensive front. This looks like a pressure front. Look at the secondary. This could be zero coverage or certainly cover one at the worst. This looks like the Giant template that we all associate with Martindale. Pressure, man coverage. But what do they do with the snap of the ball? They drop out. It'll be a four-man pressure, and they're going to play zone, cover three behind it. And last week against the Vikings, they were able to generate really good, consistent pressure with their four down linemen. But there's one player who has been absolutely dominant up front, and that's Dexter Lawrence. Last week, he just dominated the Vikings, both in the run game and as a pass rusher, as you see here. So this is a different Giants defense that the Eagles will face. They have to be prepared, but keep one thing in mind, they also have to work on pressure and man coverage because you just never know with a veteran defensive coach like Wink Martindale.
Hey, real quick, couple of the keys to victory. All right, one was offense, take care of the football. Awesome job doing that. Defensively, a big key was keeping this guy in the pocket with disciplined rush lanes. Defensive line, that was beautiful. The way we were covering in the secondary, and then defensive line of how you rushed, that was awesome. Great job, guys.
All right, that's Nick Sirianni after the Eagles beat the Giants up at MetLife, and they did a great job of containing Daniel Jones. He only ran 4 times in that game. Against the Vikings in the playoffs, he ran 17 times for 78 yards. He got 7 first downs. Eagles are going to need to do what they did at MetLife against Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah, and not what the Vikings did last week. When you got a guy like Daniel Jones, man, you have to rush smart. You have to rush with your eyes, and you can't allow him to escape the pocket. Let's take a look at a play here. I'm going to show you how it's done wrong, and then I'll show you how the Eagles did it right. Last week versus the Minnesota Vikings, you're going to see at the snap of the ball, 55, great job getting off the ball, gets upfield, but the problem is he goes past Daniel Jones. And when you go past the quarterback, it allows Daniel Jones to not only step up in the pocket, but he escapes to the defense's left. He's able to pick up a key first down there. So then when you watch how the Eagles did it the first time around against Daniel Jones, we're going to watch Hassan Reddick here on the outside. Again, great get off, has the tackle seemingly beat, but here's the thing about that. It's not just about beating the tackle. It's also keeping your eyes on the quarterback and making sure you don't rush past him. Hassan realizes that, comes back underneath, and then I even like the little bit here where Fletcher is starting to work to the outside to sort of replace Hassan where he's at. But Hassan gets the sack along with Javon Hargrave. It's a great job of just rushing with discipline as opposed to rushing recklessly. When you have an athletic quarterback like a Daniel Jones, it can't be that we're just trying to get to the quarterback. You have to rush with smarts, and as a team, great job by Hassan Reddick right here.
Yeah, since the Eagles faced him at MetLife, he's running more and he's throwing more. He's got 2 games over 300 passing yards. Those were against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Vikings, one of the worst pass defenses. Eagles are the best defense against the pass. Here's some enemy intel on Daniel Jones with Greg Cosell, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
So let's talk about this Giants offense. We know, as we've seen, that Daniel Jones can hurt you with his legs, both by design and as a scrambler. And he did that a lot last week against the Vikings. But there's been a pretty significant change in this Giants offense, probably starting a week or so after the Week 14 game with the Eagles. The Giants are now throwing the ball more. Brian Daboll is allowing Daniel Jones to drop back and throw the football. Now, play action is a major part of what they do. If you go back through this entire season, Daniel Jones has the 4th most play action dropbacks in the NFL. And that's really how they want to play. They want to throw the ball proactively, meaning on normal down and distance situations. 1st and 10, 2nd and 4. Those situations where the run game and the need defensively to defend the run is a factor. And where do you like to throw the ball off play action? When you get those stacked linebackers to step up or hesitate, you like to throw the ball in the middle of the field, crossing routes. That's where Daniel Jones throws the ball exceptionally well. And he hits Slayton on the crossing route with room to run after the catch for an explosive 20-plus yard play. This is where the Giants have really developed over the last month. They work the short to intermediate areas of the field really, really well. And this is something that the Eagles defense will have to be very, very aware of as they now play the Giants in this divisional playoff round.
Hey, Saquon Barkley had over 100 combined yards, rushing and receiving against Minnesota in the playoffs. The Eagles did a great job against him in the first game. He had a neck injury, but they held him to 28 yards. So in this game, what do they have to do to defend Saquon Barkley?
Well, you know, we've seen Saquon throughout his career. When he's healthy, he is an explosive runner. He is a home run hitter. Now, while he's gotten better at running in between the tackles, he still wants to hit that perimeter, get to the outside, get to your second level.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at it as assignment football is what this Eagles defense is going to need to do. Trust that your guys are going to do their job, be in the gap that they're supposed to be in, and you can't get outside your gap. Because here's the other thing Saquon can do, probably better than any other running back, the jump cut where he likes to go back door. If he gets a feel that the defense is fast flowing, he'll go out the back door against you. So the Eagles have to be assignment perfect so that everybody's doing their job.
Welcome back to a playoff edition of Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. And the Giants, this is a tough road. This will be their 3rd straight road game and 5 of 6 on the road, but it's a short drive down 95, whatever. Ike Reese, what are you looking for? A big one-on-one matchup in this game?
Well, most games this time of the year are won in the trenches, and you have to do your job to make sure you win your side of the line of scrimmage. So when I'm looking at the Eagles, I look at the center and Jason Kelce. I look at my 2 guards and Landon Dickerson and Isaac Seumalo. They have to know where big Dexter Lawrence is, man. This guy has been a force of nature as an interior defensive lineman. I think he leads defensive tackles and getting pressures on the quarterback. We have to know where he's at all times. There won't be any single blocking on Dexter Lawrence. We got to make sure we do a good job of helping each other out so that he doesn't get the pressure up the middle. That's how you disrupt the quarterback's rhythm, is by not allowing him to step up.
Yeah, he affected that final pass by Kirk Cousins. That's why Kirk had to get it out quick on that 4th down.
Let me stay in the trenches then. You know, you look at the way the Eagles attacked them in that Week 14 match with the Giants. I thought Evan Neal allowed too much pressure, and Hassan Riddick had a day against them rushing the passer. And I think, again, that's going to be an area that the Eagles defensively will focus on when you look at their trenches. I think Evan Neal is a way to get to the quarterback, and I'm expecting that to happen.
Eagles have beaten the Giants 9 straight times at the Link. It is going to be Saturday night, 8:15 under the lights. It's going to be wild. He is Ike Reese. He's Mike Quick. I'm John Clark. Thank you for watching a playoff edition of Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. Hopefully, see you next week. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery. There's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.